Good Tuesday afternoon, everyone. I think I made a boo-boo, so I had to go back and correct that. I think I may have went live on the wrong channel. And welcome in, Laura. Oh my goodness. Let me check something real quick here. So let's go back over this way and switch that out. I don't know how that happened. Let's see. Let me go. I hope everyone's having a really good Tuesday. Let me go into that other. Okay, I am live, so let me change this. So I'm going to this one. I don't know how I ended up on the going live on the wrong channel, so I'm going to have to redo my live for Thursday. It says I'm live and I'm not supposed to be. So what I'm going to have to do is I don't know what to do because I'm not even supposed to be live on that channel. I don't know what happened. So I'm getting lots of comments. Let me figure this out. So I need to get rid of that. Hang on just a second. Yep, I'm definitely on the wrong channel. So I think I'm running on two right now. And I am on the correct channel. So I don't know how to get rid of this, but I'm going to have to redo it. So let's. I hate to do it. Let me delete it. Delete. So, guess what, guys? I'm going to have to go back in and redo my thumbnail. Can you guys hear me? Because obviously I was not in the right one. I don't know how it happened. Let's see here. Switch account. So, we're live on that. So I am on the correct channel. I don't know how I got into that other one. Maybe I forgot to change the icon, but I am live right now on Genuinely Gina. So I am here. Before you come in the chat, please hit the thumbs up. Hey, Brian, good to see you. Don't ask. I'm going to have to reset that again. I don't know how I ended up on my other channel. For Petey's sake. So, welcome in, you guys. I hope you're having a fabulous day. So, I'm going to have to go back in and redo that on, I think I had it on YouTube to come on YouTube. So, I'm going to have to redo it. I don't know how I went from that to that. But anyway, welcome in, everyone. But there will be an auction on Thursday at 6 p.m. I don't know how that happened, guys, because that was the last thing I set up, and I don't know what happened. Oh, well, live and learn. I hope everyone's doing well. It's good to see you, Brian and Laura. Thank you so much for coming in. I'll just have to reset my thumbnail for Thursday because I had to delete it to get me off of there. So I will be on, though, on Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday. I don't know how that happened. But anyway, it's, guys, we need to pray for the people over in the state of Kentucky because not only did they have a flood a month ago, they're getting ready to have some bad weather. And I think Kentucky is about 25 miles from me. I don't think we're going to get anything, but Kentucky is really, I mean, last week they were, um, thank you, Brian, they were devastated by tornadoes. And it's really bad. And then, like I said, the month before that, they had major flooding because of the Ohio River. And now they had all the damage from last week. Now a really, really bad storm is coming their way. And I don't think we're going to get anything, but I think Kentucky is going to get the brunt of it all. And they've really had a hard time, guys. And thank you so much, guys. When when you watch the news and see that devastation and things tore up, people without homes, deceased people, it's I think the governor over there is doing a great job because he is making sure that people have things, and he's just doing a great job. And it's really sad, guys. But keep Kentucky in your prayers, because I think tonight they're going to get a really bad storm again. So, but Andy Bashir is the governor of Kentucky. He's a very wonderful man. He's doing everything in his power to help people. There, a lot of people are providing lodging for people. A lot of funerals are being paid for, and we missed you too, Brian. And I know it's sad, but there was life lost. And us being so close to Kentucky, that's just one state over. So they really, really need our prayers. And my heart really goes out to them because, I mean, they get a major flood, they get a tornado, tear something up, and now they're going to get another one. So as long as the sun doesn't pop out and cause instability, we should be okay. But last week, I think it was last Thursday or Friday, I know we had winds of about 60 miles per hour. And it was very, very scary. But anyway, we are still in. I got to do a whole new well, I still got the copy of the thumbnail in my phone. So all I got to do is reschedule it. So everybody thought, oh, she's having the sale. She's having the sale. No, I wasn't having the sale. That's not till Thursday. So let's all look together in Proverbs 25, or chapter 25, the first verse. These also are proverbs of Solomon, which the men of Hezekiah, king of Judah, copied. It is the glory of God to conceal a matter, but the glory of kings to search out a matter. I think we find, and thank you guys so much, and I think we find that so many times in our life that sometimes people will not tell the complete truth, and it's really important to know all the facts before we, come to a conclusion. Like it says, search out a matter, because today, unfortunately, we never know who's telling the truth and who's not, so we've really got to keep that in mind, that it's easier to, first you have to conceal the matter. People are hiding things, and there's a lot of lying going on. And guys, there is no justification for a lie. Lies affect people's lives and things like that. It really does. And, we should seek to tell the truth in everything we do and be very honest. And sometimes there's a cost with that. But at the end of the day, we need to be honest in all aspects of life, we really do. As the heavens for height and the earth for depth, so the heart of kings is unsearchable. Take away the dross from the silver, and it will go to the silversmith for jewelry. Take away the wicked from before the king, and his throne will be established in righteousness. Anything that is built on a solid foundation always stands, and I believe that the truth stands way beyond what a lie does. A lie, it really can't be proven, but the truth, you can prove that, you know. So let's see. Take away the wicked before the king, and his throne will be established in righteousness. Do not exalt yourself in the presence of the king, and do not stand in the place of the great, for it is better that he say to you, come up here, than you should put lower in the presence of the prince whom your eyes have seen. Do not go hastily to court, for what will you do in the end? When your neighbor has put you to shame, debate your case with your neighbor, and do not disclose the secret to another. Right there. Lest he who hears it expose your shame and your reputation be ruined. But yeah, I've always said that, hey, Gigi, welcome in, sweetie. If you have a problem with a person, go directly to them, and don't run over here and start talking about, well, I heard this and did you hear that? Because it's wrong. If two people come together to solve a matter and keep other people out of it, I think the results are much better. And when it says, lest he who bears it will expose your shame. Well, they'll expose more than that, I guarantee you, because that's how people can be. They can say some things that aren't true, hurt other people, and they really don't care. But yet when it comes back, they're saying, woe is me. Well, if they didn't stir something up, then they wouldn't be in the spot they're in. So sometimes it's best to, like the passage in the Bible, be still and know I am God. Don't try to. I think some of the biggest things that we do in life is we try to control everything. We think that we can control it and it's going to turn out the way that we think it is. But God, He is, He's the one that we should go to, because He has all the answers. We are just human. We cannot do what God does, and that's where we get in trouble. We think we can solve all our problems, and then when we can't solve our problems, we try to work on someone else's, which sometimes is uninvited sometimes. But yeah, I think we're so guilty of wanting to control situations and think that, that we have it all figured out, guys, but we really don't. All scenarios in life, God is in control of. So, you ever heard that saying, let go and let God? Don't forecast doom before you go to the Lord in prayer. Don't say, oh, it's over with, it won't work out. God is capable of taking a very bad situation and turning it into a good one for the blessings of you and other people. That's how God works. Sometimes we know, guys, some things are bigger than us, and we just have to turn it over to God, because, we just have to, or we would probably lose our minds. So let's see. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in settings of silver, like an earring of gold and an ornament of fine gold is a wise rebuker to the obedient ear. Listen. And I know sometimes when we're in troubled times and God is speaking to us, we don't listen. It's like we're so wrapped up in everyday life and what's going on that we don't heed God's call when He's in the midst the entire time. You know, sometimes we learn more by listening than we do talking, Like the cold of the snow in time of harvest is a faithful messenger to those who send him, for he refreshes the soul of his master. Whosoever falsely boasts of giving is like clouds and wind without the rain. Well, that's another thing. I think that people should give out of the love in their heart. And if you're giving, to me, if you're giving something with an expect of something in return, you've totally missed the point. We should give unselfishly to our brothers or sisters whatever they need. And we shouldn't think, well, gee, I did this for you and now you owe me. It doesn't work that way. You did that because you love God and that was pleasing in God's eyes. I had an acquaintance one time that was like that. I mean, I think when you give out of your heart and expect nothing in return, that you're blessed for that. And I know everyone has been around a person like that. You never count the cost. You give because you're grateful that you happen to give because God made it possible. And just give it and, just let the blessings will come back. Because that's what God is about. He is about love, He's about compassion. And, it's, you just give it and and it makes you feel good in your heart that you were, like I said, you were able to give it because God had blessed you so that you had the capacity to give that gift. I like crocheting and giving it away. And I've given away a lot of stuff, but you know what? I felt like, especially if I really think a lot of someone, because I think when you give something to someone, that's an extension of yourself. And to show them and they think about every time they look at that and they remember. And that's what it's all about, guys. And to me, giving something like something that I make is an extension of love, to where I know that person I love has something that I made physically for them. And that makes me feel good. That's why I get such great joy out of giving things away. Giving your time, listening to someone, helping someone along the way. Because, guys, we never know what's coming our way. And I think God does bless those who give with a grateful heart, and it just shows that, hey, God, I know that everything I have is because of you. And I was willing to give because that's you. Oh, thank you, Laura. It's, well, guys, I think a lot of people put, yes, Laura, you're a dear friend, and Brian, and all of you guys in here. And I'm really thankful for you guys. Yes, I just, if I know that, it just gives me great joy in my heart to um, release. I think when you give to someone, that's a direct reflection of your heart. And there's nothing like giving your heart, you guys. There's really not, to because there's so much hatred in this world, guys. And it's so refreshing to be able to And of course, we show God's love that way. But, I feel like I've been blessed. And I feel like that by me giving further increases that blessing because I bless someone else. And when you take the time to do something for someone and to reach out to someone that really needs you, that has a profound effect on people's lives, you know. But a lot of people say, looks will fade, but your heart and soul is forever, so it's I think a lot of times, guys, it's experiences that we go through in our lives that makes us the people that we are. I really do. And in some cases, people are very resentful. Why me? Why me? Because sometimes, and a lot of times, bad things happen to good people. But it's how you overcome those obstacles and move on from those is where your strength comes from. And I should have the strength of 10 men, let me tell you. But I know that I give God all the glory because I know it was him. God is the only one that can move those mountains out of the way, and you have to have patience, though. By long forbearance a ruler is persuaded, and a gentle tongue breaks a bone. Have you found honey? Eat only as much as you need, lest you be filled with it and vomit. That's talking about greed. And there again, that just goes to show that if you have something extra, that you should give to someone else that's lacking. Don't be a glutton. Show the love of God by being willing to give what you have extra to someone else. Seldom set foot in your neighbor's house, lest he become weary of you and hate you. A man who bears false witness against his brother is like a club, a sword, and a sharp arrow. Boy, that's the truth. And you know how we feel when we have false witness against us, and that's a very slippery slope. We know that we did the right thing, but yet we are being penalized for that by people saying things that are not true, fabrications and things like that. Confidence in an unfaithful man in the time of trouble is like a bad tooth and a foot out of joint, which is true. We have to, the word faithful, that is a very big word in the Christian, thank you, Brian, in the Christian life, because, we have to have that faith because everything, guys, is going on around us. And we feel like, how horrible is that? And we just have to have that faith to know that one day that all of this stuff is going to come to an end. And we're not going to know pain, sorrow, death, sobbing. We'll be in paradise. But sometimes we feel like the road to getting there is really tough, and that's where our faith comes in. And it's really hard when things are coming at you 90 miles an hour and you're just totally, and sometimes through, a lot of times people, when they're in their worst times, they forget about God. And it happens, because that comes from where people try to solve other things themselves and they really mess it up, and you really got to keep that faith because That's what we all cling to, that the faith of knowing that one day that we're not going to be in a situation where everything's happening around us, and sometimes we become a victim of that. Like one who takes away a garment in cold weather, and like the vinegar on soda, it is one who sings songs to a heavy heart. Oh wow, like one who takes away a garment in cold weather, like vinegar on soda. Boy, that's quite the who sings songs to a heavy heart. Oh wow. If your enemy is hungry, give him bread to eat, and if he is thirsty, give him water to drink. For so you will heap coals of fire on his head, and the Lord will reward you. And that comes in where someone's been very, very mean, and you just don't want to be around that person. You just, the sight of them just really, it, it breeds so many emotions that, but we have to, like the Bible says, love thine enemy as thyself, and that's really hard. But if you sometimes swallowing your pride and all the hurt that you've experienced is hard, guys. And I think that's another way that we show the love from God, because this person says, well, I've been terrible to this person, and they, how can they be so nice to me? That's the power of God. So in that tense, they have to think about it like that. And we have to forgive. Forgiveness is another hard thing. It depends upon what it is and what we've been through. But yes, we have to forgive. We have to release that, what I call the beast, because when we don't like someone, sometimes it doesn't bother them, but it eats us up inside, and we just have to let it go. We have to accept that people are going to be people, and just let it go and let God take care of it. There's oh, you guys have heard me say this numerous times. There's two things we can't change: what people say and what people do. So yes, even though that person may have been our enemy, we still have to um, be gracious and extend love to that person. Who knows, it might totally change the way they look at things. Sometimes we don't know the paths that people have walked sometimes. So for the north wind brings forth rain, and a backbiting tongue and and angry con- continence. Boy, is that true. Get a drink here. And I definitely think we've all been a victim of that. A backbiting tongue. To me, I'm like this. Maybe it's right or wrong. I'm not two faced, and I try not to. If I know, I try not to say things. I'm not two faced, and if I tell you I love you, you can take that to the bank. But I cannot stand the person that's one way to your face and another behind your back. I can't stand that. It's I would rather know the true thoughts of that person. I've never been one to really start any conflict, but I never ran from it. If I knew I was right, I'm not going to stand there and let someone, downplay or say, make false accusations. And sometimes, guys, the less people you're around, the more that you're kind of picky on who you choose to be around, the more people's going to come after you. And why? Because you're different. You're not running with the crowd. You're standing on your own, and people just can't comprehend that. They really can't. And I think that's a lot of times, I think that's why people come after people like that. Just, why? And some people don't like to see other people happy because they, in fact, are not happy themselves, and I think that, you know, to be able to set aside grievances from people, and it's hard, guys, especially if they keep coming at you. But you know what? Words are words, and eternity is an eternity. So sometimes you just have to brush it off and walk on and pray about it and say, God, I've done all I can do. This person is like that, and just turn it over to Him because He has all the answers, and He knows your heart's hurting. He knows you're hurting. And just turn it over to Him. Don't worry about, well, what if this person says this? What if this person says that? I think that's what people are so worried about. Just turn it over to God, and release it to God. Because a burden is a burden, and just let it go and pray about it. Will the answer come instantaneously? No, but at least you've let that, what's in your heart, you've turned it over to God and said, look, I don't know what to do, and I've tried to be good to this person, and they're doing this, that, and the other. Just turn it over to God and let Him take care of it. And sometimes things have to happen before things are made right, but they will be made right, I guarantee you. So let's go on. I think I turned too quick here. It is better to dwell in a corner of a housetop, my nose itches, than in a house shared with a contentious woman. It's true. As cold water to a weary soul, so is the good news from a far country. A righteous man who falters before the wicked is like a murky spring and a polluted well. It is not good to eat much honey, so to seek one's own glory is not glory, which it talked about in the other passages before. Whoever has no rule over his own spirit is like a city broken down without walls. As snow in the summer and rain in the harvest, so honor is not a fitting for a fool. Like a flitting sparrow, like a flying swallow, so a curse without cause shall not alight. A whip for a horse, a bridle for a donkey, and a rod for the fool's back. Do not answer a fool according to his folly, lest you also be like him. So that means do not return evil for evil. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. He who sends a message by the hand of a fool cuts off his own feet and drinks violence. Like the legs of the lamb that hang limp. Is a proverb in the mouth of fools like one who binds a stone in a sling? Is he who gives honor to a fool like a thorn that goes into the hand of a drunkard? Is a proverb in the mouth of fools. The great God who formed everything gives the fool his hire and the transgressor his wages. As a dog returns to his own vomit, so a fool repeats his folly. Do you see a man wise in his own eyes? There is more hope for a fool than for him. The lazy man says, there is a lion in the road, a fierce lion is in the streets. As the door turns on its hinges, so does the lazy man on his bed. The lazy man buries his hand in the bowl. It wearies him to bring it back to his mouth. The lazy man is wiser in his own eyes than 7 men who can answer sensibly. He who passes by and meddles in a quarrel not his own is like one who takes the dog by the ears. That's true. And see it that was in direct relation to what we read before. So it's really trying to get that point across, to not involve yourself in the middle of other people's quarrels, lest you be the one blamed in the end. Like a madman who throws firebrands, arrows, and death is the man who deceives his neighbor and says, I was only joking. Where there is no wood, the fire goes out, and where there is no talebearer, strife ceases. As charcoal is to burning coals and the wood to fire, so is the contentious man to kindle strife. The words of a talebearer are like tasty trifles, and they go down into the inmost body. Fervent lips with a wicked heart are like earthenware covered like silver dross. He who hates disguises it with his lips and lays up deceit within himself. When he speaks kindly, do not believe him, for there are 7 abominations in his heart. Though his hatred is covered by deceit, his wickedness will be revealed before the assembly. Which is very true. I think people that are very cunning and very wicked, and they do schemes behind people's backs, and they're so lovey to other people's face. Sooner or later they're going to be revealed, and sometimes it comes out in the really funny ways, but it does come out. That's what said. I can't stand people who are one way to someone's face and another behind their back. That is something that I just really don't like. If you don't like that person, if they're causing trouble in your life, walk away from it. I mean, you can forgive someone, but that doesn't mean that you should continue to be their, what is the word I'm looking for? Their whipping post, so to speak. You just walk on and forgive and let it go, because God will take care of it. And these are the type of people that have the coals that are heaped on their heads. Not that I'm relishing in that, but that's what it says in the Bible, that, you do the right thing, pray about it, let it go, and the one who is wrong will definitely have the coals heaped upon their head. Whoever digs a pit will fall into it, and he who rolls a stone will have it roll back on him. A lying tongue hates those who are crushed by it, and a flattering mouth works ruin. And that is very true. It says, be careful of the snare that you set for someone else, for you may fall in it yourself. And that's so true. Sometimes, when people set out to do bad things to people, sometimes it backfires, and the coals are definitely heaped. And that's the way God works. He rewards the ones that are pure in heart, and he heaps the coals upon those who are scheming, manipulative, lying, and do things to innocent people. Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring forth. And that's so true. Look at the events that are happening around the world right now. There's wars, and something that really bothered me was when over in Gaza, it showed pictures over there of those little children and people starving, and the opposing side will not allow trucks in there to bring those people food. And it really upsets me. Start these little babies are innocent, and that's how the world is. People want dominion, people want to own things, but when I see a hungry child like that, it's terrible, and it's just so heartbreaking, and it's awful. I just can't. I'm a really sensitive person. I just can't. It's just unfathomable. Look how lucky we are, guys. We don't live in a country where the opposite side is blocking food from coming in. We're not starving to death. We're not dying of disease. And it's really sad. I really I hate to see stuff like that. But guys, it's a reality. And like it says, the little kids are suffering, and it's just so sad. I try not to watch it too much because it upsets me so bad that they figure, well, they don't have to use ammunition on these people because they're going to starve them to death. And you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of the very tactics that Hitler used. He starved these people to death. Literally, I mean, that's when I was seeing that, it's what that reminded me of. I think hopefully, I think we should pray for that God intervenes and makes a way for those people to have food. But that's what that reminded me of Hitler, the way he starved people in order to control them. And it's terrible. Like I said, I don't think we should ever take for granted what we have in living in the United States, having the freedom, the food to eat, not worried about being killed, somebody coming in and just decimating your family, but yeah, I just couldn't help to think about that, and saw those pictures of those poor children. But let's see, where were we? Let's see, where I got so upset I forgot where I was. All right. Let another man praise you and not your own mouth, a stranger and not your own lips. That's true. That falls in the boastful thing. If you're doing something good and whatever, people are going to take notice of that. And you're not going to have to say a word about it. A stone is heavy and sand is weighty, but a fool's wrath is heavier than both of them. Wrath is cruel and anger a torrent, but who is able to stand before jealousy? Boy, that's a big one. It's awful. The jealousy to me is the worst thing imaginable, because what it does is it clouds that person's, they can't see the true person because they're jealous. And they're thinking of all these bad things about the person instead of all the good things. And jealousies can put people in a very bad position sometimes. Open rebuke is better than love carefully concealed. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. A satisfied soul loathes the honeycomb, but to a hungry soul every bitter thing is sweet. Like a bird that wanders from its nest is a man who wanders from his place. Optimate and perfumed delight the heart, and the sweetness of a man's friend gives delight by the hearty counsel. Do not forsake your own friend as your father's friend, nor go to your brother's house in the day of your calamity. Better is a neighbor nearby than a brother far away. My son, be wise and make my heart glad. that I may answer him who reproaches me. A prudent man foresees evil and hides himself. The simple pass on and are punished. Take the garment of him who is surely for a stranger, and hold it in pledge when he is surety for a seductress. He who blesses his friends with a loud voice, rising early in the morning, it will be counted a curse to him. A continual dripping on a very rainy day and a contentious woman are alike. Whoever restrains her restrains the wind and grasps oil with his right hand. As iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. Whoever keeps the fig tree will eat its fruit, so he who waits on his master will be honored. As in water face reflects face, so a man's heart reveals the man. Hell and destruction are never full, so the eyes of a man are never satisfied. The refining pot is for silver and the furnace for gold, and a man is valued by what others say of him. Though you grind a fool in mortar with a pestle along with crushed grain, yet his foolishness will not depart from him. Be diligent to know the state of your flocks and attend to your herds, for the riches are not forever, nor does a crown endure all generations. When the hay is removed and the tender grass shows itself, and the herbs of the mountains are gathered in, the lambs will provide your clothing, and the goats are the price of the field. You shall have enough goats milk for your food, for the food of your household, and the nourishment of your main servant. So it says, the wicked flee when no one pursues, but the righteous are bold as a lion because of the transgression of a land. Many are princeless, but by a man of understanding and knowledge right be prolonged. A poor man who oppresses the poor is like a driving rain which leaves no food. Those who forsake the law praise the wicked, but such as keep the law con, contend with them. Evil men do not understand justice, but those who seek the Lord understand all. Better is the poor who walks in his integrity than one perverse in the ways, though he be rich. Whoever keeps the law is a discerning son, but a companion of gluttons shames his father. One who increases his possessions by usury and extortion gathers it for him who will pity the poor. One who turns away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer is an abomination. And we know today in a lot of court systems that there really justice. I mean, they do plea bargains all the time for lesser charge, taking away really part of the severity of the crime. And that's what's wrong. We've gotten away in America today from in the justice system. That is things really just do people that harm children, murder people, and all this other stuff, are they really getting, and I'm not for the punishment of anyone, but if you think about it, do people, back in biblical days, they would just stone you to death. And now they let them do a plea bargain and they get off very lightly, which is really hard on a victim because they feel like that because of the justice system. And some of the judges are crooked as well, that sometimes it's who to what you get your sentence is. And I think it's really wrong. And I think the justice system, especially children, and a lot of this abuse that goes on, and the CPS that's supposed to protect them, and a lot of times there's signs of things going on and they're not investigated because their caseload is so heavy and that poor little child ends up deceased. It's really bad, the way our system works. You would think that in the case of a child that, you know, they would put a priority on that. And, there's so many kids out there that's been mistreated that they don't have foster homes for. And it's really sad. And sometimes, like I said, the things go on in the household where the CPS should come in and take care of that and pay attention, and they're not doing it. And like I said, some poor little child ends up deceased because of it. I think, in a way, when there is a child that ends up like that, after there's been numerous reports to CPS, there should be legal things put against them too, because they are paid to protect those children. And I think I'd like to see laws changed where if CPS doesn't go in and look in on something correctly and a child dies, then they should be held accountable. And it's really sad that, you know, these little innocent little children, but anyway, let's see where we left off. Let's see. Yeah, but I think that law thing got me going in that direction, about, I think that a lot of things there's no justice anymore and people do not, and I'm not the judge, I'm not the boss, but sometimes people really get away with a lot of things today. So let's move on. Let's see. He who covers his sins will not prosper, but whoever confesses and forsakes them will have mercy. Happy is the man who is always reverent, but he who hardens his heart will fall into calamity. Like a roaring lion and a charging bear is a wicked ruler over poor people. A ruler who lacks understanding is a great oppressor, but he who hates covetousness will prolong his days. A man burdened with bloodshed will flee into a pit. Let no one help him. Whoever walks blamelessly will be saved, but he who is perverse in his ways will suddenly fall. He who tills the land will have plenty of bread, but he who follows frivolity will have poverty enough. But yeah, that is so true. I don't think that people that really I don't think people prosper who deal in business dealings that are not on the up and up, that take people's money, that deceive them. And sooner or later, that kind of stuff's not going to go on. But it says it's better to walk in the truth, in the light, than in the dark, because God is watching and He knows who's doing what and for what reason. But it where it says here in 15, like a roaring lion and a charging bear is a wicked ruler over poor people, which that kind of reminds me of maybe someone having maybe more money than the next person, so they feel like that they're beneath someone. And but a wicked ruler, that again reminds me of Hitler. It really does. You have to excuse me, my mind thinks in several different directions. A faithful man will abound with blessings, but he who hastens to be rich will not go unpunished. To show partiality is not good, because for a piece of bread a man will transgress. A man with an evil eye hastens after riches and does not consider that poverty will come upon him. He who rebukes a man will find more favor afterward than he who flatters with the tongue. Whoever robs his father or his mother and says it is no transgression, the same is a companion to a destroyer. He who is of proud heart stirs up strife, but he who trusts in the Lord will be prospered. He who trusts in the Lord, he who trusts in his own heart is a fool, but whosoever walks wisely will be delivered. He who gives the poor will not lack, like we was talking about earlier, but he who hides his eyes will have many curses. And that's where we're expected to give to people less fortunate. And if you see someone that needs something and you don't help them, then you're not doing what God expects you to do, and that's not a good thing. And just because people turn their eyes away from someone that is poor and in need doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I would rather, like I said, I would rather give than to receive. That's how I've always been. But like I think this Proverbs repeats a lot of the same core values throughout, like forgiveness and love and being willing to help those in need, the poor, and things like that. It's so relatable in here. So anyway, does anyone out there that anyone knows of need any prayers or anything that we know of? I mentioned the people over in Kentucky with these storms coming, and I see the sun outside, and hopefully we don't get it. So, excuse me. But I know a lot of times, we all need prayers. We all go through things. We're all human beings, and sometimes there are those prayers that are unspoken that are in people's hearts, and that they really don't want to bring it about, but they do require unspoken requests and things like that. Let's see how far. So right after this, I'm going to have to go in and reset my thumbnail for the auction on Thursday, guys. I don't know how that got there. I ended up somewhere else. Keep me in your prayers for a good follow up with the doctor Thursday. Yeah, Brian, he's been taking some antibiotics, and hopefully everything turns out. Brian, I know that sometimes when it comes to our health and we get older, we kind of are maybe a little more concerned. And so we'll go ahead and go to the Lord in prayer now, and we'll keep Brian in our prayers and the people in Kentucky. And I know a lot of people have some unspoken prayer requests that's in their heart that they don't really mention, but they're there. So let's go to the Lord in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we know you are in control of everything in this world. Lord, be with those in Kentucky that's been through so much devastation lately, and guide them through this next storm that is coming, Lord. We know that you're in control of everything, and we just have to take a step back and let you be you and accept your glory and everything that you have to offer us, Lord. Lord, be with Brian as he goes to the doctor on Thursday, and may he get a good report about his test. Um, and Lord, for those unspoken requests that people have in their heart that have not mentioned, Lord, be with them, Lord. Let them know that you're just a prayer away and that you are in the midst of everything that's going on in their lives and you love them. Thank you, Lord, for being with us through every scenario and in everything we do. We count on you, Lord, because without you, we would be nothing, just aimlessly drifting out in this earth with nothing to look forward to, Lord. Thank you so much, Lord, for the ability to come on here and share your word with people that it's just an enlightening experience to be able to put your word out there and let people know that there is hope in your name, Lord. I thank you so much, Lord, for everything you do and everything you are. Amen. Oh, okay. I finished them a few days. Okay, follow up the doctor. I finished them a few days ago. Okay, so you're just the doctor. He's reading your the results of everything. So yeah, you got to keep when you get older and younger too. You really have to keep a good eye on your health because you only get one shot at it. So thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. Don't forget about the auction on Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which I have to reset that thumbnail for. I had to delete it to get it off the air, so I will catch you guys later. Have a blessed day. If good, Brian, I hope they did work. I really do. So we'll be praying for that, Brian, that everything works out for you. And I will see you the next time will be seeing you will be on Gina's Glass on Thursday. Love you guys. Take care of yourself and one another, and I'll catch you later. Have a blessed rest of your day. Thank you so much for being here.